Breaking news this morning, one person's in the hospital after a late night crash. Officers were called to 13th and Mid City Avenue just after 10 o'clock last night. Omaha police say they were conducting a traffic stop near 13th Street and 13th Court on a stolen car when the driver of that car took off. Officers did not chase after the driver. Instead, a police helicopter tracked the car from above. The driver eventually crashed.
Hit a utility pole, somehow just barely missed hitting a building. The occupant was pinned. An adult male driver was pinned in the stolen vehicle due to the damage to the vehicle sustained from hitting the utility pole, probably at a high rate of speed. Additionally, it appears that a seatbelt was not used.
We are still waiting to learn the identity of the driver and their charges.